joining us now to take part in this conversation to further bring some light to this issue is Omali Yeshitela, who is the co-founder and current chairman of the African People's Socialist Party, which leads the Uhuru movement. Dr. Yeshitela, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you taking some time out to discuss these issues with us. Very briefly, could you tell us about the African People's Socialist Party and then what led to these indictments against its members?
Well, the African People's Socialist Party is an organization that's a little more than 50 years old. We were founded in 1972. I was the founding member of the organization. My political history began formally with the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. I was a member of SNCC, and after a number of years working with SNCC, that had, as you know, initiated the Black Power slogan demand in 1966. Moved toward, I was in prison in 1969, the last of 1969, for during a demonstration protest. I took a 8 by 10 foot despicable mural that had African displayed in just grotesque caricature off the wall of the city hall, inside the city hall, and was charged with 11 offenses, tried on a couple of them, one of which was grand larceny, was sentenced to 5 years in prison, and then coming out of prison organized the African People's Socialist Party, having concluded after a period of time that we had to move beyond simple protest politic and move toward the struggle to actually capture and wield political power, and determined that a political party was the best instrument to make that happen. And over a number of years, we have built institutions throughout this country dealing with the issue of colonialism, having concluded that just fighting against racism or the attitudes and opinions of white people was not what this movement should be about, like SNCC and several other organizations that matured during this period of time. We recognized that the contradiction was colonialism, and that's what the Black Power slogan, demand of SNCC, actually referenced. That's what it spoke to, that the question had to be about power as opposed to trying to win the good graces of our oppressors. So the African People's Socialist Party has been about that since 1972. We now exist in various countries in Africa, here in the United States, and we have a presence in England and in France, and a limited presence in Germany and Belgium, et cetera, Sweden. So we've been about for a while, and the struggle we've been involved in is, for the longest period of time, is more or less the same. That the question has to be the total, absolute, unconditional liberation of Africa and its unification within Africa and with African people globally.
And it's interesting because these Pan African ideas have very much become controversial in recent years, even among some of the black bourgeoisie in this country. What have you found to be the biggest stumbling block or the biggest impediment in the spread of this conceptualization and moving towards the type of political movement that can wield power within African American communities nationally and internationally when it comes to changing legislative agendas and moving forward public policy?
Well, I think the biggest contradiction that we've had to contend with for a while, and in addition to the oppression by the United States government, has been there's become a generalized assumption that the struggle of African people should be limited to just trying to find a space within the United States, within the colonial system that dominates us. And when you violate that, then sectors of the African, as you characterize it, bourgeoisie, certainly would be opposed to that because as far as many of them are concerned, that the struggle that granted, at least superficially, nominally, rights within the system solved the problem. And that's notwithstanding the murder that we see happen on a daily basis to African people in this country, highlighted in really serious manner with the George Floyd incident that resulted in millions of people, many of whom never engaged in political activity in their lives, rising up. So that's been a part of the problem. But the reason that's a problem is we wouldn't be having this struggle as something that's unusual had it not been for the United States government having declared some time ago that it had to make this struggle against what it characterized as the black nationalist hate groups. The FBI initiated a whole campaign, resulted in the assassinations of people like Malcolm X, the assassination of people in Martin Luther King, and a host of other people around the country, and mass incarcerations of African people. So this tendency in our movement came under military assault. There are people who are still in prison, and some of whom died in prison, and some of whom are even now getting out of prison who represented this politic. So it's this, and it's also how the ruling class colonial media has described and defined what the meaning of black freedom is and how we should go about trying to attain it. That has been a stumbling block. But by and large, we work with the African working people in our communities everywhere. We don't find this kind of obstacle in terms of people being able to believe and win in the right of African people to be self-determining. And we have created something like more than 50 independent economic and political institutions throughout this country. We have created an African People's Solidarity Committee comprised of white people, essentially, that works the solidarity component of our party that exists in 117 cities in this country. We have created, as I mentioned, a variety of economic institutions. We have transformed the entire, mostly north side section of St. Louis, bringing it back to life economically, culturally, et cetera. And we think that's part of the reason that we came under attack.
We have to go to a quick break, but after the break, I want you to talk about the attacks the organization has been under by the federal government in recent years, attempts to jail members, attempts to attack and assassinate the character of the organization. That it seems that the federal government will spend more time trying to attack black nationalist groups than they will white supremacists, Proud Boys, racists, white nationalists, etc. I want to talk a little bit about that after the break. So we will be back after the break. We're still talking to Dr. Omali Yeshitela from the African People's Socialist Party. We'll be back after the break, calling 404-726-1380, News and Talk 1380 WAOK.